skip frames detected 2 minutes ago. Awesome. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Wasted Talent with me, Josh Beard. I have a very special guest tonight. I have the head of Paul Gallant, who I used to work with on Gallant at Night on Sports Radio 610. But this is Paul Gallant of SB Nation and the Gallant Says podcast. Paul, how are you doing tonight, friend?
I'm doing wonderful. Also, I do a television show. It's called Just Saying.
Oh, I forgot about that.
It's 10:30, Q57. I'm just saying that you should come out to the House of Blues every single Thursday, like around 11:30, like noon. So you'll get some alcohol, you'll get some food, and you'll also get some hot takes. Yeah, it'll be fantastic.
You do a much better
first take, except for better.
You do a much better job of promoting than I do. Honestly, I think that's one thing that I've been more jealous. I mean, obviously the hair, and then being able.
Look how handsome I am.
Yeah, exactly. And like there are lots of things I'm jealous of you about. But
what? So it's just remembering my jobs. I mean,
yeah.
You could have a simple Google search to before the show to look up, I don't know, one of your friends in the industry to.
It's not that shut up. It's not that I didn't remember it, or it's not that I didn't know about it. It's just that I didn't remember it.
Show. I didn't even remember. And you started off with SB Nation. Why aren't you starting off with the Gallant Says podcast? Available on iTunes, Google Play, and on Stitcher, and on Spotify, and on CastBox, which apparently is a thing.
You're acting like, is that a thing? Is CastBox a thing?
It is. One of my friends was like, "Hey, why isn't it on CastBox?" And I'm like, "I don't fucking know what that is." And then I put it on CastBox.
How did you get it on CastBox if you didn't even know what it was?
I didn't know what it was until then, and then he said, "Put it on CastBox." And there's like 9 people that listen through CastBox. Apparently.
You gotta put it on CastBox, man. CastBox, it's the new wave, man. That's how everybody's gonna be listening to their podcasts in the future, man.
Listen, I just don't want to do it through Apple, and I don't want to do it through Google. I'm not about those corporations, and Spotify, kind of a corporation, so, I'm doing CastBox.
I'm doing CastBox, man. Look, really, everybody needs to jump on this Google Plus bandwagon. Google Plus is going to overrun Facebook, man. I'm telling you. For real, though.
They really didn't believe that.
Other people who don't, like, there were a lot of people that thought that Google Plus was going to take over.
It's the next big thing, man. It's the next big thing.
That's why I can't be an early adopter of technology. Like with video games, it's different because I literally have to buy every video game that comes out, or else I'll shit myself involuntarily. Like I just can't help it. But yeah, it is a problem. But I hate being an early adopter of most technology because really at the end of the day, it all sucks, and I hate every single bit of it. So I can't just
Why haven't you gone and lived on a random commune in Pennsylvania as one of the Amish?
Well, I still want to use technology.
But if you remove yourself from the technology, you'll get rid of the shitting problem, number one. And number two, you're not going to know about any technology. You're just going to be plowing fields with old Jebediah and Mirabelle. And when you're doing that, it's going to be a really grand old time for you. So, and then you'll never think about your family or computers or any technology again. You're just going to live the simple life.
I definitely, I don't think that would go well if I stopped thinking about my family and stopped caring about them.
You're not going to know
Kara
about
would
any
murder
technology.
me.
Interesting. Well, that's not very family friendly, Kara. I mean, Jesus, get it to fucking together.
Damn it, Paul. Let's get on topic. All right, this is the Wasted Talent. It's not a podcast. I don't know why I was about to say that. This is Wasted Talent. We're going to talk about sports, and I have a special guest, Paul Gallant from the Gallant Says podcast.
Starting this over again.
Just saying on Q57. Yeah. And SB Nation. Yeah, I had to reset because I don't know what the hell just happened. We're going to get into some
show, damn it. That's what I did.
We're going to get into some interesting topics throughout this that I don't know if we're going to agree or disagree, but we're going to get into Clowneys and holdouts and trades, oh my. Yeah, we're going to talk about all the Dak Prescotts of the world, and Andrew Luck has a tiny bone, amongst other things. There's a lot. I have quite a few questions for you and for everybody that's watching us. But first, we hear the rumors. Your buddy, which I can't believe I forgot to bring up Just Saying, because I was even going to bring it up whenever I introduced the topic of Jadeveon Clowney trades. But your boy John Granado going national. As he was called on 97.5 earlier today, it was almost like he was Rick Ross of Twitter yesterday, with the rumors about Jadeveon Clowney and his solid source about Jadeveon Clowney is possibly being traded, that there was a trade for him to go to the Miami Dolphins, and he nixed that, and now he's threatening to hold out for the entire year. And I've gone back and forth on what I think about Jadeveon Clowney, the Jadeveon Clowney situation. And I'm kind of stuck. Like, I'm full on stuck about what the Texans should do with Clowney. I think he's an incredible talent, obviously. He's better than everyone thinks he is. I think there's a large sect of people that want to downplay exactly how talented and freakish Jadeveon Clowney can be on the football field because he doesn't get the sack numbers. When we see a lot of other metrics, he measures up just as much as some of the other better pass rushers in the league. I'm not saying he's Khalil Mack or Aaron Donald. I'm not saying that he's even Von Miller, but he's not far off from the Von Miller status. He's like a step below Von Miller.
He's a damn good player. Whatever
he is.
He is one of the biggest run disruptors in the NFL. Is there still value for that? I don't really know. But what John Granato put out there, and by the way, I am a big fan of their show, The Bench. And
it's the best show in town.
100%. And I will also say this. For those who are questioning John Granato because he doesn't have a blue check mark or something like that, of all the people that are in sports radio in this town, there are none more connected than John Granato and Lance Erline.
Absolutely.
That is what happens when you've been doing something for a really long period of time. And that's also what happens when John actually hangs out with some of these people, it seems like. I mean, I don't know how he gets some of the stuff he gets, but I 100% believe him on this. And, you know, what's interesting is the way that the Texans handled this, Josh, because I keep thinking about when they fired Brian Gaine, which was on June 7th. And if that firing came because Bill O'Brien and Gaine couldn't agree on what to do about Jadeveon Clowney in the future, they had a long period of time, about 5 weeks, to trade Jadeveon Clowney elsewhere and trade him to a spot where they could eventually get a long-term deal done or something like that. And now they're in a spot where he can essentially pick where he goes. He's got essentially a no-trade clause with them. And I'm very curious to see how this all pans out. To your original point about where Clowney ranks, if the Texans don't have him, they will sorely miss him.
Does that mean that badly?
Does that mean he is worth a long-term contract when they have issues with his work ethic? That I can't answer. And I'm not even going to criticize the Texans for potentially deciding to move on from him. I think they'll be a worse team in the short term, and I think they'll have a very hard time replacing him. But if you give a guy a lot of money that doesn't have the best of work ethic as it is that work ethic going to get better? Likely no. It likely will get worse. Right. So I can understand looking at things from that perspective. But they're a worse team without him this season. And if they felt like they wanted to trade him, they should have done this either in March when free agency was about to begin, during the draft, or a while ago during that June 7th through July 15th window. They did none of the above. And if now all of a sudden they're making phone calls, it sort of feels like the procrastinator is now trying to basically do all sorts of different things to sort of make up for the fact that he should have done his job a month ago. Although I suppose that we don't talk about we talk about a flat organization.
It's very flat. It's so flat.
Yeah, they love throwing that buzzword at us. You know, personally, I don't think anyone likes anything flat. You know, Earth flat, nope. Flat asses, no.
No, not flat asses.
Flat boobies. Some people are.
Sometimes it depends how perky, right?
But then you go back to the ass, and if there's a nice ass, then you're willing to deal with maybe not the biggest ladies upstairs. So there you go. There is a hot sex take in the middle.
What other flat things are as good? Like I don't know that there's any. There are very few flat things that are as good. Yeah, but a desk isn't like flat. Like it has a flat surface, but it's not flat. I was gonna say like maybe pancakes, crepes. How many good flat things? Like most of the time, we don't really like flat anymore.
Floors?
Yeah, flooring. Good flat flooring. You don't want it to be super bumpy. Phones, for the most part, I think you like them being a little bit more flat. I don't think I would like a contoured phone very much. I wouldn't.
Art. Posters or like
paintings,
pieces of art regalia. Yes, paintings. Although they're not technically flat, like they go a little bit forward.
Right.
I understand what other flat things I can't think of any.
Yeah,
flat's bad generally.
Flat is usually bad, right? Like whenever your relationship becomes flat, that's a bad thing. Whenever your financial situation becomes flat, that's a bad thing. Like almost any time when you flatline, that means you die. That's a very bad thing because you're not alive and breathing anymore. Flat's super bad. And so I hate that they keep bringing up it's a more efficient, flatter organization structure. That's bullshit. Fuck you, Cal McNair. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard of. And this is like this whole Clowney situation, I know people are going to say, oh, this is Brian Gaines' fault. One name, Brian Gaine. All this would have changed if Brian Gaine would have taken care of it before. I'm sick and tired of hearing Brian Gaine's name. You can't put everything on Brian Gaine. And what I said last week was, if you sit there and try to tell me to my face that Bill O'Brien wasn't a part of a lot of the indecision or some of the crappy decisions or no decisions that were made, then you're fooling yourself, because it wasn't all Brian Gaine.
He probably was a part, I imagine.
He was a part, maybe not a big part, but they can't put this 100% on Brian Gaine. A lot of this indecision was from the organization as a whole, not just one guy.
Are they still putting it 100% on Brian Gaine?
Some people are. I've seen. I'm not saying they, like, I'm the larger they, but like people on Twitter, people that I've heard on the radio, still trying to put it on Brian Gaine, trying to explain it away, like, oh, Bill O'Brien, he's a real tough customer. He's a real tough. You know what? Now Bill O'Brien's in control. Oh yeah, let's go. Get that Brian Gaine out of here.
He's had a lot of control over a lot of different things, and while I still like Bill O'Brien, I don't know that necessarily deserves to have control over all of the things that he has control over.
Right. I don't think he does. I don't think he does at all. But let's get back to the Clowney aspect of this, because we're talking about John Granato bringing up and Lance Zierlein doubling down with him. And I'm sorry, if there's one guy over all of them that I'm going to trust in this town when it comes to NFL rumors and being connected, it's Lance. Like, I've met him one time. I sat next to him in the press box at a Texans game last year, and I still trust him more than anybody else with all the sources that he's got. And his sources confirmed John Granato's story. If the Texans trade Jadeveon Clowney, like you said earlier, they're going to sorely miss him. He's not as replaceable as everybody thinks he is. I keep hearing this, like, oh, you can replace his production. No, you can't, man. No, you can't.
Not anything this year, at the very least.
No, not with Whitney Merciless. Everybody's like, God, Whitney Merciless, he can replace the production. No, he's not going to be able to. Whitney Merciless was good against bad teams for a half a year. And everybody wants to talk about like he's just a small drop off from Jadeveon Clowney. No, that is a cliff. Small drop off.
That's different, because Clowney you can line up on the middle and he just generates a kind of power right off the line of scrimmage that you just can't find across the league. Like, that's what sets Clowney apart. Merciless does have some ability, and they were putting him in bad spots last season. And if you were to ask him, he would admit that they're putting him in all sorts of different spots. Does sound like they're going to continue to put him all over the place, though, based off of some commentary from some of the coaches. I think I saw a couple of tweets of transcripts and such that were put out there, and I think some of them had to do with them moving Whitney Merciless all over the place. But yeah, then you got Brennan Scarlett. I like Brennan Scarlett too, but I mean, yeah, you're not replacing that kind of production. You're not replacing that kind of, hey, I need to double team this guy. Hey, I need to focus a lot of my attention on this guy, that you will get with Jadeveon Clowney. So for secondary, that's best cornerback is 35 fucking years old. For a second, and I like Jonathan Joseph a lot, but he is 35 years old. Bradley Roby, who again was a former first round pick that the Denver Broncos just were like, all right, toodaloo. Aaron Colvin, who stinks. And then on top of that, Lonnie Johnson, who did not have the best of first preseason games against a bunch of scrub wide receivers for the Green Bay Packers that are all fighting for roster spots. So,
but Paul, wait, Lonnie Johnson lays big hits in joint practices and training camp.
I do like big hits. I do like the big hits that he was laying, and I do think that the way that the Packers handled that afterwards is symptomatic of an organization that is soft and is not going anywhere again this season. But
I do agree with that. But just the amount of talk that I heard about the Lonnie Johnson big hits for like 2 days, because then Bill O'Brien held him out of practice the next day, and you got to get a good 3 hours of content out of that too, right? Like,
listen, it sounds like you've got a problem. Your problem is that you're listening to the station that honestly you know exactly what you get when you're listening to it.
That's fair.
I don't know. Maybe you should try something else.
Are you saying I'm bringing it on myself? I have been trying many other
You know how many times I've listened to that play since I got fired?
0.
Literally 0.
0 times.
I don't even have any desire to.
Well, I listen to the afternoon show for very specific reasons whenever I'm on my way home for work, but they're all nefarious and they're not good.
Are you trying to kill yourself?
Huh? No. Oh God, no. I did almost drive into a barrier when I was listening one day. It's just like, I think I'd just been listening to Clint for about 5 minutes straight, and then Rick Campbell came on with that terrible fake laugh he does, and it was like an instinctual reaction to swerve into the barrier.
You're describing things that I will never experience.
Yeah, you don't want to experience it.
I'm just going to say, like, why are you doing it to yourself?
We're not here to talk about that. Okay,
in fact,
that's
not what listening right now. Like, what are you doing that to yourself? I don't even need to listen. Man. Just all I needed to do was look at like their Facebook promo video. He said he was a sports psycho. I was like, yep, I'm done. I'm sorry, you're humble bragging about like Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal and being friends with those guys. I doubt that they even know who you are, but that's just me.
I see. I'd be a name dropper too, though. If I actually knew guys like that, I'd name drop all over the place.
I mean, here's the deal. Like guests.
I drop your name all the time, but the problem, I'm like, oh, you know Paul Gallant, and then like about 80% of the time, they're like, mm.
Someone knows who I am. I'm very okay with that.
That less people know who I am, so that's totally fine. I'm actually okay with it too. So all that we said about Clowney's not easily replaceable. He's incredibly talented. He's a disruptor. The dude is insane. I love having him on this team. All that said, in my opinion, if they can get an extremely talented tackler or cornerback, or even just an above-average tackler or cornerback, and a valuable pick for Clowney, then I'm all for it. Because offense and being able to stop offense with a shutdown corner is king in this league. But if you can't get that, that's the value for Clowney. If you can't get that, which they won't,
the names being tossed around, Trent Williams, who the Redskins are not going to trade, per Adam Schefter. I trust Adam Schefter, not Jason Lockinfor, who said that the Redskins are trying to trade Trent Williams. That's the only tackler that you trade Clowney for. And then at cornerback, I heard Jimmy Smith's name has been mentioned with the Baltimore Ravens.
I've heard Jimmy
He's 31. That's a short-term kind of trade. If you're giving up Jadeveon Clowney, what are you really getting by trading for Jimmy Smith? 31 years old, has been a good player, has also had injuries. So that's one of those ones where I'm a little bit hesitant too. But I understand your sentiment, and I mean, I feel the same way about bringing in somebody like that because the immediacy of where you are right now, where you have, for the Texans this season, a couple of guys coming off the books that maybe you don't bring back. Will Fuller, DJ Reader, Whitney Merciless coming up this offseason. And on top of that, you know, you never know how long a guy like J.J. Watt's going to be the same player. If Jonathan Joseph can even give you anything this year, let alone how much longer he plays.
How much do you think he has? Like, legitimately, like how much do you think he has to give this defense, Jonathan Joseph, at his age?
I mean, you know, to quote Catwoman talking to Batman at the end of The Dark Knight Rises, "You've given them everything. You should just walk away." But I don't know how much left he has because he is somewhat like Batman towards the end before he got that weird thing that he put on his knee, you know, and that was when he first came back out of retirement. He gets that thing from Alfred where his like knee all of a sudden starts working again. All it took was just putting like a fucking knee brace on, and he goes from from limping to just walking around normally. No big deal.
So I want to get to some comments real fast. Multiple people saying, "Is that Paul Gallant? Is it Paul? The infamous?" And then somebody said it was the eyebrows that gave it away.
Yeah, it's so obvious.
Our friend Sean Bajani on Facebook said, "Hello, good people. Just because they didn't trade him weeks ago didn't mean they try, unless you know something we don't, of course." No, but it's kind of like a reading between the lines type of thing, right? Like, it didn't seem like they were trying to do much of anything. Honestly, if anything, they weren't making a lot of other moves by signing guys, which made me feel like they were earmarking that money for Jadeveon Clowney, which means that they were working on trying to re-sign him, not trade him away. Sean also said, "Well-balanced wins, though. Their defense now is overwhelmingly better than their offense. If you're able to get a veteran OT in exchange for JD, would that be a good deal or no?" And then it's like we just said, it has to be good. He has to be a good offensive tackle. It can't just be any Joe Schmo offensive tackle.
Exactly.
He has to be legitimately legitimately above average plus more, and he has to be elite.
Though I will say, holy shit, like they really gotta do something.
The offensive line is bad.
About Matt Khalil. He is just fucking dreadful. And you know what? I'll give him a lot of credit for his wife, who is like a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model, and I feel like someone who's able to pull that off is doing something in life right. But Jesus Christ, I don't want that motherfucker playing left tackle. and like I just don't. Like maybe as a backup, but I mean he looked really bad against the Packers. That's all I've seen, and everything I've seen coming out of Texans training camp has been saying
he's
yikes.
Bad. Yeah.
You know, I'm just going to go back to one of the last things that I remember from my time at the place. And we were doing a show one day, Mike, Seth, and I, and they played this promo after Matt Khalil had been signed, and it was said, and essentially said, the Texans just signed their left tackle of the future, Sports Radio 610. And I remember we paused everything. We were like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Because all of us are football savvy enough, all three of us, to know that Matt Khalil is not good. Like, we didn't have to say anything else. All we know is that Matt Khalil is not good. And then we're playing this, and I remember thinking, what? And Seth got livid. Like, Seth got
good.
Pissed. And then after the show, we talked about it, and we were mildly reprimanded for it. It was very annoying. But whatever. Neither here nor there. I'm on to greener and brighter things.
Yeah, which, by the way, I wore this hat tonight specifically. I know you can't unless you look at the stream later, and then you'll appreciate it when you see it. But I wore this hat. I was wearing it backwards, but I wanted to wait for the perfect moment to reveal it, and I wore this hat especially for us doing this show together.
I still can't see it, though. So.
Kenneth Cologne Call says 610 is a complete joke and is a complete and utter fucking joke.
I have no comment.
Yeah, no comment. You know what? I'll comment
Except
for you.
The afternoon shows looks like it's really fucking bad.
Yeah. Well, you know what? The morning show, Sean and Seth I listen to.
I love Sean and Seth. I love Landry and John. I do
love Landry and John too.
The afternoon show. Pass.
Yeah, absolutely. But we'll move on from this because we've been talking about Jadeveon Clowney in the trade. We'll just leave it at, if you're going to trade him, make sure you're getting value. I have no faith that this organization would get the right value if they traded Jadeveon Clowney. And I love the Duke Johnson trade. I don't like how much they gave away for the Duke Johnson trade.
Round pick. Everyone that's said about the third round. Come on, the guy
is a third string running back though, right? Like, he's a third string running back, and you gave away a third round pick for him.
Third string running back behind Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And Kareem Hunt is one of the best running backs in the game. Nick Chubb ain't much worse. Like, they are loaded.
But what's one of the most valuable assets a football team can have?
A running back who can catch the football out of the backfield.
No. I mean, when you're building, like, you're trying to build an organization outside of the quarterback.
Are you a draft pick guy?
Gotta have draft picks, Paul.
Oh my God. You have theoretically this offseason 2 compensatory picks in the third round for Tyrann Mathieu and Kareem Jackson coming up. So there's that. Number one. Number two. Okay, the idea that you're going to find someone that actually can play in the third round when you're the Houston Texans and have taken chances on guys like Sam Montgomery or Brennan Williams, Jalen Strong, DeVere Posey,
Justin Reed, Paul.
Justin Reed is like the one third round pick that you have found, like, in my entire time covering the Houston Texans, and Brandon Brooks too, who they let go. Those are the only 2 third round picks that they have found that have ended up being competent players. It is a crapshoot, but would you rather have your third round pick or a running back who is under contract for 3 years at a very cheap price, a guy who on top of that has been getting, for most of his career, check that, all of his career, he has had at least 47 catches or more every single season that he has played. Bill O'Brien's never had a running back that's like James White or like Kevin Falk or like Danny Woodhead. He has never had that. He has had Arian Foster, which is a little bit different because Arian Foster was essentially a workhorse that could do everything. He has never had someone like this. A third round pick, considering you will have compensatory picks next offseason because the Texans will likely not sign anyone in free agency. And on top of that, considering that you have Lamar Miller and no one else at running back going into this year, this is a no-brainer. Anyone who's criticizing this move, I feel like you're doing it just because you're pissed off at the Texans and you're looking for something to get mad about.
Yeah, I'm not criticizing the move because I do like it, and I do like Duke Johnson. So I'll take it. It's a little bit more value than what I would want to give up, but I'll definitely do it. But what I would
critically a third. Like, if it doesn't work out, it's a fourth. Honestly, I have no issue with it at all. Randy Moss was acquired for a fourth round pick.
What I would have liked much better is this organization not relying on Deontay Foreman as their backup running back and going out and signing a Tevin Coleman in free agency, or drafting a Travion Williams instead of freaking Charles Omenihu. That's what I would have liked. And yeah, you'd say the Colt, A&M, Aggie stuff all you want, but I would have preferred them do that and keep the third round pick than them go out and need to overvalue Duke Johnson. I do like the trade though, and
just because you think Cullen Gillespie is actually going to be like a competent player in the National Football League is no reason to act like the trade, like using a third round pick to trade for Duke Johnson is a big deal.
Good thing they didn't trade that 7th round pick, because future Hall of Fame fullback Colin Gillespie is about to take over the league.
Honestly, like all the good wishes in the world to that guy, but I hope they cut him just because of you.
Oh my God, I hate your face so much. I can't even explain it.
The 12th man.
Fuck you, Paul. We're moving on now. We're moving on to our next topic, and I want to talk about Dak Prescott, because obviously I'm a fan of 2 teams, and I don't care what anybody says. I'm allowed to be a fan of 2 teams. And that second team, since I grew up in the area that I love so dearly and ever so slightly less than the Texans, is the Dallas Cowboys. And the news came out that Dak Prescott, or news or fake news, I don't fucking know. I don't know if it was real. I don't know what to think about it. But that Dak Prescott turned down a $30 million contract, and that he was seeking $40 million a year. And then he said that he wasn't seeking $40 million a year. But I'll say this just real fast, and then I want to dive into the question mode. But Dak Prescott isn't worth $40 million a year. He's not even worth $30 million a year. Ultimately, he's going to be worth whatever the Cowboys need to pay him. And it might be more than like any sane NFL fan would want to pay for Dak, but it's fucking hard to find a good QB, right? It's hard to find a good QB in this league that you don't have to overpay for. They chose Dak over Romo, and if they don't pay him now, then they're going to go into rebuild mode with a young, talented defense on affordable contracts and an offense that, if it has Zeke and Amari, looks like it could be pretty explosive. This is like, right now the Cowboys are like the opposite of what the Legion of Boom days in Seattle were, right? Where they had Russell Wilson on a really affordable rookie deal, and then they paid a lot for their defense. Well, right now they've got a lot of really young, talented guys on that defense that are all on rookie contracts, and they can afford to overpay Dak Prescott, even if he doesn't, like, I think Lance Zierlein says it the best. He doesn't make anybody around him better, and he's not a top 10 quarterback in this league. But his situation in Dallas, it's just set up for him to get paid that money. So I say pay his ass. Maybe not $40 million, but just go ahead and pay him $33 million. I don't love it,
but I do about Amari Cooper and Ezekiel Elliott.
That's
Lyle
the problem.
Collins and Byron Jones.
That's the problem. Look, I'd rather watch them go for it with this team than struggle, and we're stuck in purgatory pseudo rebuild mode.
But Ezekiel Elliott right now, then honestly, like that Dak Prescott's name is actually coming up before this Ezekiel Elliott deal, where Ezekiel Elliott is actually threatening to sit out games, and if he sits out games, the Cowboys are fucked.
Yeah.
Like, period. Like if Ezekiel Elliott sits out until he needs to get a year towards free agency, like which would be week 10, the Cowboys are fucked. Period. Mm-hmm. They should pay him yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I don't disagree with that at all. I mean, when you
should realize, like, hey, like he's the focal point. We'll figure me out after this season, but he is. Here's the thing with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is exactly good enough to make you scared about thinking about the idea of replacing him. Yes. But at the same time, he is exactly mediocre enough for you to be like, you're really
at least consider it.
$40 million a year.
Right.
So he's right in the middle of the road, and there are a lot of other quarterbacks that are right on that same page. I will say this. He did finish the season very strong, and for anyone who is saying like, oh, wow, this guy sucks, I would say that they're wrong, because he had a very good finish to the season. Adding Amari Cooper to the mix brought something out of him that I had not seen honestly since his rookie year. What was that, 2016? Where he was really, really good that year.
I think part of that was just having an explosive receiver again, right? Like Des Bryant wasn't the same after Dak's rookie year. So just having an explosive receiver, that's one of the, I mean, say what you want about Amari Cooper and his time in Oakland. He's one of the best receivers off the line of scrimmage in the entire NFL. He's not maybe a top 5 receiver. He may not even be a top 10 receiver, but off the line, defenders like DBs, cornerback, safeties, they have a hard time trying to jam him and keep him off, which that's exactly what you want for a quarterback like Dak Prescott, so you can get those double moves and get the ball in the receiver's hands really, really fast. Like watching the way Dak and Amari worked last year was absolutely incredible. But that's the thing, is Amari made Dak better. Dak didn't make Amari Cooper better. Amari Cooper came in and made Dak better. I mean, literally from the first snap of the game that he played with the Cowboys. And so I totally agree that they need to pay Zeke right now. Like when you drafted Ezekiel Elliott, you hitched your wagon to him. And so you need to pay him the money and stop playing around, because Dak Prescott is not Drew Brees. He's not even a Deshaun Watson. He's not even close. Like he's not in that I could be a top 5 talent in this league kind of quarterback.
He's pretty close to his ceiling.
Oh, absolutely.
Great runner, like powerful runner, throws his body around in the end zone, which makes him very helpful in the red zone. But this is a guy who has 67 career touchdown passes.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's had 23, 22, and 22 over the course of his career. He is exactly the kind of quarterback that you can win with, assuming that you have the running game that is working and that your front seven, which got absolutely curb stomped by the Los Angeles Rams in the second round of the playoffs last year, which was shocking to me. I mean, I had been hyping the Cowboys defense up all season. I really like that front seven that they have, and the Rams just ran all over them. Even with Todd Gurley supposedly dealing with his issues, Thick Jay Anderson kicked their ass. So, yeah, I'm looking at this and I feel like you're thinking hard about this. Here's why I'd be a little hesitant, and this would be a move that I think would piss off a lot of Cowboys fans. But again, the Cowboys, I feel like if they're going to operate smart, this isn't the worst strategy to have, though it might make them irrelevant for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you should be all in on this year, and you might entertain the idea of pulling a Marlins, where if Prescott doesn't work out, I mean, is it worth it? If Ezekiel Elliott, you can't get him to that long-term deal, do you try to trade him somewhere else? And then you keep Amari Cooper around, and then you might have to start over from scratch. But like, I think right now, it's really hard to see the Cowboys winning a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott. And if they are able to do it, great. And you pay the guy as much as he fucking wants, and then you deal with that down the road, like the Ravens are dealing with that with Joe Flacco right now. But man, the idea that he has the cojones to ask for $40 million a year.
It's nuts.
It is. I mean, he's got to check his ego a little bit. Like, Patrick Mahomes in his first season as a starter essentially has as many touchdown passes as Dak Prescott does.
Dak Prescott over the last 3 years has 67 touchdown passes. Patrick Mahomes had 50 last year.
Yep.
Like, that's absolutely insane that he would ask for that much money. So what if you're the Cowboys and you decide to let's do this? How much what's the maximum? Say no Super Bowl, but a good playoff run. What's the maximum that you would pay Dak Prescott?
Well, I don't really like to play this game. No offense, because it's I don't know what that number necessarily is. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense.
Like
I'll give you my number. I would pay him 32 or 33. That'd be my max. Honestly, if he wins a Super Bowl, my max is still 32 or 33.
I would be willing, if I'm the Cowboys, to pay him if I really think that he can continue to get better. I would consider paying him in the same realm as like the 10th best quarterback in the league, but I doubt that you're going to have to deal with that shit. I doubt that I doubt that it's going to go down that way. He's going to be stubborn, I imagine, and $40 million a year is just insane. You know what else is insane? It's also really, really insane that Dak Prescott, who I once hung out with at karaoke, did not like my karaoke song.
Really?
A lot of people know I'm
when did
the best yarler of all time. Well, on my 4-day weekend bender,
okay,
which just is for my 30th birthday. What I did was I took off a Friday. On Saturday, I did a pub crawl for cancer in downtown Houston, and we're going from place to place, and we ended up going to eventually, I think, either Glitter or Spotlight Karaoke. I think it was Glitter. This is on Milam Street. It's right across the street from Mize. Mm-hmm. And while I'm there, I see someone who looks an awful lot like Dak Prescott come in. He's got a giant entourage. He's got a giant team with him. And I'm looking at him for a long period of time, and I'm there with a couple of Cowboy fan friends. And I say, that's Dak Prescott, isn't it? That's Dak Prescott. So we're doing karaoke, and I'll give Dak Prescott credit. And he started to gain cool points in my mind. And, I actually might have...
Because he was there doing karaoke, that he gained cool points?
Oh, no. Hang on a second.
Oh, okay, okay.
Now, I saw him at first, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, he's not that good of a quarterback. But my friends are fans of his. I'm just gonna sit back. I'm not gonna make any comments to them about like, oh wow, man, must suck not having Tom Brady just to be an annoying asshole. So I'm sitting there, and my friends come on and hang on. I actually texted one of them to ask what songs it was that they were that they sang. So my friend Jamie and my friend Lucas sang Grundy County Auction. And I don't know why, but Dak Prescott and the group of people that he was there with, they all lost their shit. Like they were having a great time. They were having a blast. And afterwards, like Jamie high-fived him, and Jamie's a huge Cowboys fan, and everyone was really excited. And there was another song that there was another song that played, My Brain Is Going to Hold On by Wilson Phillips. They lost their shit to that.
What? To a Wilson Phillips song?
Yeah. Fuck if I know why.
Oh my
so I'm
God.
like, okay, well, I can do a really good Jarl. So I had already been scheduled to do Alive by Pearl Jam for a while. So I sang Alive, and I fucking crushed it. Dak Prescott wasn't excited for me. He was excited for everyone else except for me. So you know what, Dak? Fuck you. You're not getting $40 million a year. Entirely because of that, you son of a bitch. You should have feared me. You would have had a sports talk show host in your back pocket for life. For life.
You would have immediately. I think if he would have praised you, then right now you'd be saying $40 million isn't enough for that guy.
100%. Pay him $100 billion.
Oh shit!
Give him ownership stake in the Cowboys.
Yeah, he's not worth $40 million though.
No, he's not.
But his opinion apparently is worth $100 billion, and he did not earn that. And so I'm sorry Dak Prescott didn't like your yarling. You know what? Your yarling's good. Whenever we went and did karaoke for my 30th, that's not what I wanted.
What? You said it was good.
I didn't say it's good enough that I wanted you to do it. I just said it was
so good to reunite. Because we're reuniting right now.
That's good. You know what? I kind of wanted to, if I was more tech savvy and a lot cooler, I wanted to have like an intro song before I brought you on, and I was going to get the song, It's on the Table.
The fire's cooking.
Yeah, that's from now
on. I don't know the words.
I'm going to set it up from now on. Whenever you come on the show, I'm going to set up a scene specifically called Paul's Scene, and it's going to just be like a 15-second clip of that song that intros you. All right, a couple more things that I want to get to. So Andrew Luck has a tiny bone. Are we at all? Yeah, he has a tiny bone. So he had the calf issues, obviously, that he's been dealing with, and then Jim Irsay went and said today that he has a small bone problem, and now the Colts GM tonight around 7:00 said that his calf problem has turned into a high ankle sprain. And so, is there any concern? I guess it's not a concern for us. Is there any hope that Andrew Luck is just not going to be right all season, and that could give the Texans a small chance to take the AFC South?
Well, think about it from this perspective. That medical staff fucked up with his shoulder in the past.
Yes, they did.
What's to say they won't fuck up again? And I don't know off the top of my head. This is actually something I'm going to do a little bit of research on for the next time I'm on SB Nation Radio, 9 to midnight on Thursday. And I want to take a look at the Colts medical staff.
Yeah.
Because if it is still the same Colts medical staff, like, they should honestly be fired right now.
Absolutely. It's a franchise quarterback, and you already fucked him over. You already fucked with him once, and now his calf issue has become an ankle issue?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, how are you so bad at your job that it's migrating, right? That the injury, because that's what happens with injuries. One area gets injured, and then it kind of starts to radiate and migrate to other areas, but you go to medical professionals to stop that from happening, and they're helping perpetuate that, and I think they're making it worse and making it worse faster, which is insane to me. But
yeah, it definitely, whatever's going on, I would be very concerned if I'm a Colts fan. And
good.
I feel bad. I actually feel bad from this perspective. Like, this is the first time where I've actually looked at the Colts and actually have considered them to be the front runner in the AFC ever. I mean, I'm going back to the Manning days. I mean, I'm a Patriots fan, obviously. The Colts are beneath the Patriots because they've always been soft frauds. But they showed it against the Kansas City Chiefs. The horseshoe on the helmet symbolizes the softness. But you're a young horse. You're not a weathered horse. You're not a horse that's like ready to go outside. You're a pony.
You're a colt. You're a tiny little colt.
Right. Exactly. So I've always thought that the Colts are in the same stratosphere as the Patriots, but I've always been of the mindset that whether it was Peyton Manning or Andrew Luck, they're never going to be able to get by him. But this year, I really like what they did in the draft. Chris Ballard, who I roasted a lot last offseason for forgetting to get Josh McDaniels to sign the contract on the dotted line and then announcing that they had hired him. I made fun of him for that. But, I mean, in the draft, they got Paris Campbell, who's dealing with injuries, but the guy's fast. And now they have a receiver core that, at the very least, you have to look at and take notice. It's T.Y. Hilton. Devin Funchess has got to work on his hands. Eric Ebron also has to work on his hands, the tight end. And Campbell, but they also, on the defensive side of things, like they got Rock Ya-Sin, who was my favorite player coming out of last year's draft. I wanted the Texans to get him badly.
Apparently, he was great in their first preseason game too.
Oh, dude, the guy's he's like, he does everything. He reminds he just was inducted into the Hall of Fame, and he doesn't necessarily have the same kind of swagger, but he reminds me of Ty Law a lot, and that's what I've always wanted in a corner. I understand that a lot of the stuff that Ty Law was so good at is now illegal by the NFL standards, but I really like Rock Ya-Sin. But anyway, sorry.
Patriots homer.
Well, that's the first Hall of Famer that the Patriots have put in after winning 6 Super Bowls, which is also a joke.
I thought whenever I was done with radio, and I thought I was done with being near somebody that just wouldn't shut up about the Patriots all the time.
When you use a religion as like your common reference, then it's just natural. It's just natural to talk about it that much.
My new boss is the biggest Patriots fan I've ever met.
I'm insulted that you called him a bigger Patriots
I'm sorry, he's the biggest I've ever met. The guy's had season ticket. He was an intern for the Patriots back in the day. He has season tickets to the Patriots, and he is way more insufferable with his Patriots fandom than you are. And I didn't think that was possible.
Yes, I'm not insufferable. I spout
insufferable.
Facts.
But he's my boss. I can't say anything. I just have to be like, oh, yeah, those Patriots. I might be a fan. Don't fire me, please.
You should do that anyway because they are your Lord and Savior, and you should bend the knee, bow down, do whatever you got to do. No.
If I bend the knee, will they have a better written ending than Game of Thrones?
I mean, there is no ending with the Patriots.
Better villain, Bill Belichick or the Night King?
The Night King sucked.
Yeah, the Night King, so you admit that Bill Belichick is a villain.
I'm the Night King. I'm really good at slow walking. And then like oh wow, Theon charged at me.
So you admit right now on Wasted Talent that Bill Belichick is a villain.
Oh, I guess so.
Yeah. Okay, just wanted.
Yeah, they hate us because they ain't us.
Whatever. Antonio Brown
doesn't have to be a benevolent one.
I want to get through this sports shit because I have some very serious questions I want to ask you. So one final sports question: Antonio Brown.
Yes.
All of the antics, everything that happens with him, the latest helmet drama that I saw that you could have given him the helmet he was looking for the low price of $1 million. I think that was a really good deal. But are you annoyed? And for all of y'all that are watching right now, are you annoyed by Antonio Brown's antics, or are you entertained by it? Because at first I was annoyed, which usually I go from entertained to annoyed, right? Like that's usually how it's like, fucking, it's too much now. But I've gone from annoyed to kind of entertained and be like, fuck it. Like Hard Knocks is going to be way more intriguing now. It was already going to be fun, but it's going to be even more fun.
I'm annoyed by it. You're
annoyed by it? Why?
Because Antonio Brown's a bad person. I feel very confident that I'm sick of Antonio Brown. Really, dude, a fucking helmet. Like, I want John Gruden and the Raiders to fail because I predicted that they would, and I just think that John Gruden is a bit of a sleazeball himself. I don't think he's a very honest person. But I will say, when it comes to Antonio Brown, dude, fucking show up. It's a fucking helmet. Oh, I've been wearing it for 10 years. Like, and some people have suggested that the guy might actually have some mental issues. You think? And again, there's nothing wrong with mental issues, but he is one of those people that has mental issues, and you're like, we got to find a way to move him from where we are to anywhere but where we are.
It's just we have to move him from here next to us to not
literally
here
anywhere
next
else
to us. Yeah. Just can we, if there's a way where we can take him and have him not be near anywhere we are at all times, that's what we want. Yeah, he's a psycho. I mean, like, but to me, I was annoyed by it at first, but now I'm just like, the same thing happened with LeVar Ball with me. I was so annoyed by him for the longest time. And then at some point I was like, you know what? He stays on brand. I can accept that. I can respect that. And now I'm entertained by it.
You know, like sometimes when everyone goes one way, I usually go the other, and that's not a good way to go.
You're such a rebel. You're such a rebel, Paul. I'm
not necessarily a rebel. I'm just like, why is everyone saying the same thing? What could I say that's interesting or funny that's different?
A rebel without a cause. Are other people saying that it's entertaining? I figured everybody would be annoyed with it by now.
I think some people. I would imagine Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania right now is.
They're they love it.
They think this is hilarious.
The person who thinks it's the funniest is definitely Ben Roethlisberger. Second person is Juju Smith-Schuster. Those two people have to be sitting there going, "Oh fuck you Raiders and fuck you Antonio Brown."
Yeah, they're probably reveling in all this, and you know what? I don't blame them. You know, enjoy it. It's been a rough couple of years for them.
Yeah, well, and see, I guess I'm not entertained by it from I think he's funny. It's more like I'm entertained by it like a Jersey Shore type of thing, right? Like the people in Jersey Shore aren't good people. Like they're fucking obnoxious and they're shitty.
He's a good person. Vinny, I tolerate Vinny.
Yeah, that's true. Those two.
Yeah,
JWoww's the worst.
The situation has completely changed his life. The only person, honestly, now, if you've watched like the reunion shows that they've had, which I have, because
the Jersey Shore, Family Vacation. I'm talking old school Jersey Shore.
Only Ronnie and
Ronnie's
Sam
the worst.
Are the worst.
But I'm talking old school Jersey Shore. I'm not talking like new situation in jail, getting married, fixed his life. I'm talking like beginning of Jersey Shore where you just want to watch the train wreck that is all of them. That's the kind of entertainment that I get. It's like watching live PD when they tackle the drunk guy and you're really entertained by the shit that he's saying and he tries to run from the cops and then he's like, "Oh man, I'm sorry that I tried to do that." You need to watch more live PD, Paul. I feel like you haven't watched enough of that. You don't even know what live PD is? Oh, no.
Cops?
It's like Cops, but actually live in the moment through a bunch of different places. It's TV's greatest gem right now.
You know what's it's a random side note. You know what's bullshit?
What?
You know what's bullshit that you fucking did, dude?
What did I do?
You know what's do you know what's bullshit?
I do want to know what's bullshit.
Hey, dude.
What? What's going on?
Fucking no. Cat. I have no idea what just happened there. But what is bullshit is you didn't tell me how goddamn pasty I am on this fucking I can't see how pasty I am through Skype, but I had no idea I look this white right now.
Oh yeah, well it's kind of going it's your computer screen. It's kind of going back and forth where you're sometimes washed out.
I'm tan as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I don't believe that at all. I am
like for Paul Gallant, I'm really tan right now.
Well, yeah, but tan for Paul Gallant is literally the palest I've ever been in my entire life. That's like if I got sick. Yeah, it's like if I got in a car accident and I was paralyzed from the waist down and couldn't leave my house for like 2 years because I was depressed because I couldn't walk anymore. I would still be more tan than you at your tannest. I just need. And that was the last time Paul Gallant ever came on Wasted Talent with Josh.
It's more like I just wanted to know what I look like. It's like sending a guy on television and he's got a giant dick drawn on his face.
Well, what am I supposed to? I mean, Paul, you're washed out.
Hey, oh, you look really white. And I'd be like, yeah, but how white? And then you'd be like,
see, right now you're washed out.
Too white.
Right now you're washed out, but a second ago it was fine. It's just whenever you go to different screens on your computer, which I can help. I can help you fix those camera settings. Yeah,
that's probably it.
I'll help you fix. I'll help you, baby bird. Don't worry. All right, I have some very important questions for you before we end this because it's been almost an hour, and I promised Kara I'd only go for 45 minutes, and I'm not gonna get sex tonight if we don't end this. You know what I mean? Kids are still out of the house. I got to humble brag about it. Number one, I started watching Yellowstone. I know you hate Kevin Costner, and I know you tried it out. Are you in or out on that show?
So I'm gonna try it. I have not watched it.
You haven't tried it yet? It's very good. I don't know
how, and I've been too lazy to look it up.
Do you have DirecTV?
No.
You could probably. It's on Paramount. I think you might have to get the Paramount app, but it's a good show. I think this might be the first time because it might be because there's not as much Kevin Costner. Like there's some Kevin Costner, but the best characters are not his. It's like Cowboy Sons of Anarchy, that's what it feels like to me. It's a good show.
Are they bikers? Or wait, hang. Oh,
they're cowboys, but it has almost like it's like the Montana Cowboy Mafia. It's like cowboys versus Indians for the modern age. Like how they had the Sons of Anarchy versus the Mayans. You kind of have that between the reservation and the Duttons. It's kind of cool. Question number 2. Because I put out a tweet earlier today about what was that Skyrim one that I put out that's like every time you try to play Skyrim, it's Skyrim new save and it always ends up being a stealth archer. And I saw somebody had put 8,000 hours into the game of Skyrim, and they said it's been a huge part of their life. How many hours would you guess that you've played Skyrim?
Oh, Jesus.
I need to know this question.
Wow, that's tough. I don't know if it's 8,000, but
I don't know if it's 8,000, but it's probably around 5 or 6.
I would say probably in between 1,000 and 2,000.
Really? Just on Skyrim?
I mean, I still play it. Like, that's the game I still play the most.
Have you ever played it on Xbox?
I played it on the 360 and I played it on the Xbox One.
We need to.
I still played on the Xbox One. I played it. That's the last video game I played, actually. I'm not good with video games. I'm a little bit too addictive with them, and I've realized that I probably should just stop playing them entirely. But if there was another Elder Scrolls game that came out, I would definitely have the same exact problem.
Elder Scrolls 6 is going to come out at some point, my friend. And
yeah, I know.
I will say goodbye to you.
Like 3 years away. You know what I do? Basically, like once a month, I will look up. Hey, when's the new Elder Scrolls?
Once a month? You mean once a day, right?
No, it is once a month. It really is. Seriously, like the video game side of me, like I don't know, it's starting to fade off into the back. It's kind of sad, actually. I do miss a couple of double kills and Kilimanjaros, which I did all the time playing it. Well, I'm just kidding. I only had like one Kilimanjaro. It was an awesome Kilimanjaro though.
Do you know what's weird? My video game playing is starting to wane too. Like now that I work in the industry, I don't play as much.
Oh, and that's what happens, man. Like, hey, I used to love sports a lot more than I do now. Now I'm just like,
yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true.
It's a goddamn baseball game on or some shit right now.
It's a fucking 2 baseball games in one day is too many baseball games. Look, geez. I've been having so much fun watching the Astros. Yes, I've been having so much fun, but like even one baseball game, it's background noise, and I have to do something during it.
Listen, I'll be honest. Like until they start playing like a real team, I don't give a fuck. Like I'm now at the point of they're better than everyone, barring injuries that are cataclysmic. They're not losing to anyone in the American League. Can they beat the Dodgers? And honestly, I just want to fast forward to the playoffs. I mean, the rest of the year
are going to be great.
The rest of the year they play 11 games against good teams. They have 8 against the A's and they have 3 against the Rays. And the A's and Rays are like not, New York, Boston, and Cleveland, I think are the only teams that are left that are even remotely capable of overtaking the Astros, and the Red Sox aren't going to make the playoffs. Yeah. The Indians look really good all of a sudden.
The Indians do look good all of a sudden.
Franmil Reyes and Yasiel Puig were good additions. That was an interesting trade. I mean, you trade pitching for a couple of bats, but they needed those bats, and they've been on a fucking tear ever since they brought them in. So I'm actually, of all the teams right now, I think I might be most nervous about Cleveland because Cleveland actually has some pitching. New York has a great offense, but their pitching's dreadful.
Their bullpen is awful. I feel like Cleveland always chokes.
Awful. Their starter, they had like 2 weeks ago, Josh. They had like the worst ERA over 1 week since 1912. Like
Jesus Christ,
which is incredible. Like really, I mean, that's the Yankees we're talking about. Now the Yankees have usually been good, so that also makes sense. And that was back in the day when the Yankees sucked, but. I mean, that's how far back you're going for that.
Look at all this fucking baseball knowledge coming from you right now. What happened? What happened to my old Paul Gallant that made up stats with me?
I know baseball. It's not, and I'm on top of it. I just don't like it.
Hashtag baseball Paul.
Baseball. Oh, excuse me, sir. Wait, I don't have my glasses. Can't do it. Baseball Paul.
Baseball Paul without glasses.
Gallant Says though, which just came out today.
You know what? Maybe on the next Waste of Talent that you're on, we could have a conversation between Baseball Paul and Clit Sterbner. We could do that. Actually, Clit Sterbner, I've talked to him, which I know everybody's seen it. Get ready, you guys that are all watching right now on Thursday. Clit Sterbner has officially agreed. Hogman_14 on Twitter. He's agreed to be my NFL insider. I still have no idea who it is. A lot of people still think it's Kyle King, but he's agreed to be my NFL insider. So maybe we could get Baseball Paul and Clit Sterbner on the same show.
Do that theoretically.
A couple of comments before we end. I see somebody posted a lot of skulls whenever you were singing. all of your songs. So
it was so good they had died and went to heaven.
No, Mr. J-Bo says live PD is awesome. He also said he's very annoyed with the Antonio Brown stuff. Raiders are a train wreck. And Third Coast Sports TV says it's so comforting to hear 610 hosts outside of the radio giving the real. Absolutely, that's all I'm gonna do now, man.
So authentic.
He also said it's funny hearing you curse, Paul, and he said that you're Casper complected. Shit. Only when the computer screen is on. Only when the computer screen is like on a white page.
I have Facebook on like right now, like it just goes crazy. When I have my TweetDeck on in the dark screen, it looks like this.
That just shows that Paul Gallant needs to always be in the dark and everything, and he'll look much, much better.
Oh, definitely. I'll
help you with your camera and your lighting, friend. Don't worry.
I think it's really funny how many people think it's weird to hear me curse, because like that's anyone who knows me in real life knows that I'm like really bad with it. Like I swear around my mom. Which I shouldn't do.
No, you shouldn't do that. That's being a bad son. Mama Gallant, she doesn't care anymore.
I broke her. I broke her.
Oh my God, you've desensitized her.
Yeah, I know. Legend. What a legend.
Dude, I really appreciate you coming on tonight, man. This was a lot of fun.
Anytime. You got to come on the Gallant Says podcast. The Gallant Says podcast, available on iTunes and on Google Play and on Spotify and on Stitcher and on, I guess, CastBox, when you can find it. Every single Tuesday and Friday. We're trying to get it to come out early on Tuesday mornings and Friday mornings. Also, I'm on SB Nation Radio a couple of times this week. I'm filling in for the Gold Standard on Thursday from 9 to midnight. I actually might be at the 97.5 listener watch party, because I guess that's the listener party, because that's, I guess, going to be taking place in the building. So I will be there for that. Also, Saturday, I am back on SB Nation Radio 10 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon. Download the app for that. Also, 11 to 3 on Sunday. And I will be on Sports Extra on KHOU Sunday night, and you can catch that at 10:30 on Sunday night. So, boom, we got all the plugs out of the way. Oh, yeah.
What about Just Saying?
Friday nights, 10:30 on Q57 with Patty Smith. Travis Johnson's going to be aboard. We're going to have Glenn Davis aboard as well. If you care about the Houston Dynamo, this is an interesting week because the Dynamo just fired Wilmer Cabrera tonight, so we'll talk to Glenn about that. Glenn keeps it real, even though he's the play-by-play voice of the Dynamo. He used to play soccer. Really enjoy Glenn. Really enjoy Travis Johnson. He's hilarious. And Patty's very fun to work with as well. So, I got a lot of shit going on. Even though I don't have a radio show anymore.
That's good. I keep going. I keep getting sent out of town to talk to. But you don't need a radio. Look, dude. Fuck it. Fuck a radio show. These conversations are much better than the conversations that we could have on an FCC-driven radio show.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Stop crying. All right.
Part of me is at peace of the fact that I'm not like a third wheel on the show that is getting me up at like 4 a.m. every day so I can talk for like 5 seconds a show.
The best was whenever two bros got to bro it out over sports every single night for a year and a half from 7 to 11.
Paul Gallant and Ryan Rocket. That was a really good show.
You gotta do that to me. I love Rocket, so I can't say anything bad, but also fuck you.
We had a good time. We had a good run, man. It was a fun run.
Bitch. You can find me here always. You can find me here Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 o'clock on Wasted Talent. Thank you so much to Paul Gallant. Thank you, Paul, for coming on. I'll be following Paul onto SB Nation every time he's on, begging him to let me talk on the radio with him. I will also be creepily standing in the crowd on a Just Saying soon. I don't know which one, but I'm going to randomly show up to the recording.
Okay.
Really, all I'm going to do is ride Paul's coattails for everything that he does to try to make myself semi-famous, because that's what I've done my entire career.
You should come join me underneath the overpass by 59 and Wesleyan tomorrow, because I'm going to be panhandling for change and maybe doing a little heroin. So
sweet.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
I always love doing a little
Facebook
heroin.
Live.
Yeah.
Hey, where we go on this trip? Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Dude, we could do a Facebook Live and just panhandle. We should do that. We might get arrested. You can follow me at Josh Beard Radio on Twitter, at Josh Beard Radio on Facebook, Josh Beard on YouTube. Go subscribe, like, share it out, tell everybody about it, because this is going to be this and the Gallant Says podcast are going to be the realest, most genuine Houston sports talk that you can find anywhere. I love the guys at 97.5. I love some of the guys at 610. I love some of the guys at 792. But this is going to be the best sports talk that you're going to get in the entire fucking town. So follow both of us and follow everything that we do. I appreciate you guys listening.